Hello, welcome to this lesson of Algebra 1. We're going to talk about factoring numbers here. So we're kind of switching gears from what we've been doing in the past, and we're kind of starting down a new thread of algebra. So we're going to first start by factoring numbers, so I can explain what factoring is. But then eventually, don't forget where we're going. We're going to be factoring algebraic expressions, algebraic terms. And that is a subject that gives a lot of students problems. So what we're going to do is start here with very easy things for you to understand so that you understand exactly what factoring is. And then when we move into algebra, it won't be such a mystery to you. It's not going to be hard, I promise you. So just follow me along as we go and we'll get there. So we're talking about factoring numbers. So take the number 8, for example. We want to find what we call the factors of 8. Basically, a factor of a number, or later on we'll talk about algebraic expressions, same thing. Factor is basically what can I divide into this number evenly? What numbers can divide into 8 evenly? All right, so you've got to start thinking about division, and you can alternatively think about it in terms of multiplication. Another way to think of it is the same thing as what division is. What numbers can I multiply by something to give me 8? Okay, so we can think of it two different ways. So let's just think about both of them. The number 1, can the number 1 be divided into 8? Of course it can, because 8 divided by 1 gives you 8. And when I say can it be divided in, I'm talking about can it go in a whole number of times with no decimals and no fractions. So that number can go in. The number 2, can that be divided into 8? Yes, it can, because 2 times 4 is 8, right? The number 3, can the number 3 go into 8, divide in evenly? No, it can't. 3 times something, nothing works to give you 8. So 3 is not a factor. But the number 4 is a factor because 4 times 2 is 8. The number 5 is not a factor because 5 doesn't divide into 8 evenly. The number 6 is not a factor because 6 times nothing works to give me 8. The number 7 is not a factor because I can't divide him into 8 evenly. But the number 8 is a factor because 8 times 1 is 8. Or another way to look at it is 8 can divide into 8 evenly. So there's two ways to think about factors, and both of them are fine. You can think of them as a list of numbers that divide evenly into here. That works great. But a better useful way to think about it, because as we get into algebraic expressions, it's going to be a little easier to think of factors as numbers that you can multiply by something to give me 8, which is exactly what the definition of division really is. So they're the same exact definition. You see, 1 times 8 is 8, 2 times 4 is 8, 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 1 is 8. So all of these are factors because they can each be multiplied by something to give me 8. There are no other numbers that work, and we've kind of gone over that. So let's just go and crank through a bunch of examples here. What are the factors of the number 10? So let me tell you one more thing. This whole list, these are called the factors